It's Mo. It is December 1st, and I'm filming this on the day that I want to post it. And the reason that I'm filming it on this day is because I looked back at the footage for this vlog and realized that not only did I never talk to the camera, not only did I never do an intro or an outro, the footage that I had is a little all over the place. So let me backtrack. In the beginning of November, my family and I, my husband's family, went on our family trip. This is a tradition that we started in 2019. So actually, we've only been on one annual family trip so far. That was in 2019. We went to New Orleans. It was great. It was amazing. We had so much fun. I had so much fun hanging out with his folks and his siblings and his brother's wife. We decided we would do that every year. Of course, the next year was 2020, so we haven't got back into the tradition until this year, 2024. So this year we decided to go to East Tennessee, rent a cabin, and go to Dollywood. My husband's family is from Tennessee, so it was a pretty easy go for them to drive the few hours over to East Tennessee, and we ended up driving our new used car down there, which I'm only mentioning because it comes into play a little bit in the footage, and it definitely comes into the play at the end of this adventure. Because it was a family trip, because we hadn't seen each other in so long, because we hadn't been on a family vacation in so long, I didn't really end up taking a lot of footage of me, or I didn't end up talking to the camera. We stayed in a cabin, which was very cute, but very small, so there wasn't really a easy, convenient place for me to film. So what I decided to do was go through the footage that I did have and do a voiceover for you. I first saw this, I mean, lots of people do this, but I notably saw Books Past Bedtime do this, and I love Books Past Bedtime. She is a great channel. If you haven't checked her out, definitely check her out. She's a flight attendant, so sometimes she's not as able to talk through her vlogs or talk during her vlogs. So what she'll do is she'll do a little intro, a little outro, and then she'll voice over the rest. So I decided that that would be a good way to display this footage that I have from Tennessee. So let me know if you've ever been to Tennessee. Let me know if you've ever been to Dollywood, and sit back and enjoy our family vacation to Tennessee. We were very lucky that my friend Isaac was able to watch the cats, but we still got a late start leaving from New Jersey. We saw some spectacular sunsets, but it did mean that the hotels were booked that we had kind of been planning on staying at. We did not book early, but we did find this Comfort Inn on the way down, which had some cows and a graveyard. So that was awesome. And also it had these inspirational bananas, which I've never seen, but honestly can't stop thinking about. The next morning, after our free hotel breakfast, we were back on the road again, and we only had about 4 hours left to get to Tennessee. It's about a 12 to 13 hour drive. We got there, we connected with the family, we saw the cabin, which I will show you later, and then the family right away wanted to go out to a scenic overlook. They took these ski lift chairs up, which I was not going to do. I am not a heights person, so we ended up wandering around Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is like very, very touristy, has lots of tourist attractions, lots of different games and things to play, lots of little stores, knick-knack stores, and cute little areas that you can buy food or tchotchkes in. So we sat down, we had a donut, and while we were in this cute little area, someone mentioned that there was a bear nearby, and we had never seen a bear. We went to explore to see if the bear was still there, and he was. He was sitting in this graveyard, another cemetery. I think that all portends some good luck. But this bear was not very far from us at all, maybe just a few hundred feet, really, a few hundred meters at most. He was just kind of chilling. This is right next to a touristy area where tons of tourists were hanging out. There was a crowd of people around us as we were looking at this bear, and they had their children like playing on the ground. They were being loud, and the bear at one point kind of sort of took off running, and we were like, oh my god, the bear could close the distance between us so quickly. Overall, it was really sad to see because the bear was so near the populated areas and obviously its habitat was getting destroyed. For dinner, we went to this very cute little cafe. This is footage that I took earlier, and then we were here at night. The next day, I woke up before basically everyone. His family are pretty late risers, so every morning I had the house kind of to myself. It was a very cute little cabin with a big wraparound porch. It wasn't like super deep in the woods, but it felt really cozy and very log cabin-like. It wasn't a huge house, but it was very comfortable. You can see my book. I'm reading Annihilation there. That door goes out to the porch, and then the door to the right was the master bedroom. There was a bathroom, which you saw a second ago, and a downstairs bedroom, and then the upstairs you'll get to see later. This was the porch that morning. I made myself some breakfast. This trip was really nice because we ended up eating at home a lot, so I just ate simple meals, which was really, really nice. But yeah, this is the view off of our porch. Later, the second day, Monday, we went to the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum, which was incredible. It was by far the most exciting thing, the best thing that we did the entire vacation. The whole vacation was super fun and it was great to hang out with the family, but the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum was intense. I could have stayed there for hours and hours. I could have gone back. My brother and sister-in-law actually did go back at one point. They bought some salt and pepper shakers and they went back through the museum, I think. And it was just such an amazing museum. By far my favorite thing that we did while we were there, and definitely something I would suggest for anyone in that area to do. It was $3 to get in and it was completely amazing.
Imagine when they were sorting them. This one in with the vegetables.
It is a question.
Get my hands on a card Riker or something.
In the same complex with the Museum of Salt and Pepper Shakers, there was this really great yarn store. There was a jam store. There was all sorts of fun stuff. After that, the family kind of split up. My husband and I and his brother and his brother's wife went to Forbidden Caverns. So we went down into a cave. It was definitely one of the smaller caves that I've been to, but it was a fun time and it was fun to get to walk through an underground cave. I haven't done that in many, many years, and those are always beautiful to see. Back home at the cabin, it was time to snuggle up with the two dogs that were there, and most of the family made some s'mores. The next morning was Tuesday, and it was our big day. It was the day to go to Dollywood. Our cabin happened to be right near Dollywood, like literally 5 minutes drive from Dollywood, which was super fun. And we got in pretty early in the morning. I think we got there at like 11 or 12 o'clock, and everything was already jumping there, of course. There was already a ton of people there, and you can see some Christmas decorations around. So right after Halloween, Dollywood gets turned the next day into Christmas land. So we got to walk all the way through Dollywood, all dolled up for Christmas, but it gets really spectacular at night. This was the first theme park I've ever been to. I've never been to another theme park. Not really. I've been to like a water park and things like that, but I have never been to like a genuine theme park like Disneyland or Dollywood, and it was really interesting. I don't know if it's something that I would do a lot of, but I really enjoyed that it was laid out as like a Dolly museum, and then the little town where Dolly grew up, and then more of her like Appalachian mountain home, and it went on so that all the different sections of Dollywood represented something in Dolly Parton's life. And of course, Dolly Parton is such a wonderful person and has such a wonderful message of love and acceptance, tolerance for all people. It was the perfect day to go there to take your mind off the potential of bad things happening in the world. And I only teared up once while we rode this train later in the day when Dolly talked like a personal message on the train. Obviously she wasn't there, it was recorded, but it still made me tear up. So it was a very fun place. I'm sure if you ride rides, it was even more fun, but I just had fun people watching and looking around and seeing everything that Dollywood had to offer. I thought this chapel was really beautiful. Of course, Dolly does believe in God, and they do provide actual services every Sunday, and they're non-denominational, so anyone can join. And it was just such a beautiful building, and it was decorated so beautifully for Christmas. And then I went inside, and instead of stained glass windows, all the depictions of Christ and God were quilts, which I thought was incredible. Then we had our real meal at Dollywood, which included this beautiful cornbread. Again, each eatery at Dollywood represented a part of her life or a part of her family. Not big on vegetarian food there, though, so there was slim pickings for us to eat. My husband and his siblings did ride this one roller coaster, and I know his siblings rode a bunch of other roller coasters as well. Like I said earlier, I'm not a rides person, but I was happy to watch. There wasn't a lot of vegetarian food, but they did have a milkshake. So we did get a milkshake and fries and head back to this cute little town area. I think this was my favorite area just because it was so adorable and everything was miniature, which I am always a fan of. Right at dusk, as day was turning to night, we rode the Dollywood train, which takes you all around the property. So it was perfect. We got to see the sunset, and we got to see all the Christmas lights turning on all around Dollywood. And of course, like I mentioned, this is where Dolly herself spoke to the train about peace and tolerance and love and being kind to each other and giving the gift of kindness to all. And this is definitely where I started to tear up. When we first got to Dollywood, you saw the decorations and you saw the lights, but as soon as the sun went down and the lights all came on was where it really became quite miraculous and beautiful. And we spent the rest of the evening as we headed towards the exit, just admiring all the decorations and all the lights. We walked back through my favorite section one more time, the little 50s town section, now all lit up for Christmas. I think part of the reason that I liked this section so much was it reminded me of playing Fallout. It was a very full day at Dollywood, and by the end of it, we were all ready to go home and crash. It was a lot of walking around and a lot of people and a lot of sensory overload, but it was also a really fun time. The next morning, we went to another fun activity, sort of. It was a much more somber day, partly because of the events of the world that had transpired that Tuesday night, but also partly because we went to the Titanic Museum. Yes, that is a replica Titanic, and many rooms of the Titanic, and lots of actual memorabilia that was on the Titanic. It was a really interesting time. I'm not a huge Titanic person, but it was interesting to see. And it was the kind of museum that gives you a ticket when you enter, and then at the end you get to see if you survived on the Titanic or not. So the tickets all had people who actually went on the Titanic, and you got to see if they survived or not. My favorite part of this museum was this captain's room where you got to look out as if you were steering the Titanic, and then the room outside was actually really, really cold, the actual temperature that the air would have been. Not my favorite part was this Titanic ice cream parlor, which I thought was a little strange, but it was very beautiful and it was cute inside, but it had kitschy, cute ice cream and then also a portrait of the captain of the Titanic. It was all a little weird, and a lot of things in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg were a little weird. There were a lot of touristy places to go, a lot of dinner theater, and this huge wax museum, a bunch of Ripley's Believe It or Not museums, lots and lots of stuff to do. So if you do like doing that kind of stuff and you have the money to spend to go to all these activities, I'm sure it's a really, really fun place. That's cool. Wax museum. That's a lot of stuff going on. On our way back to the restaurant that we had dinner at the very first night, which had amazing bread on the table, so I wanted to get some bread to take home, we stumbled upon this cute little cat shop. It was all cat things. Everything you could imagine cats, and cat toys, and cat food, and all sorts of cool stuff. There was even a real live cat on the porch, but unfortunately there was someone petting it and I did not get a picture, but at least I got to see a cat, and actually two cats. There were two cats on the porch, but one of them was feral on this vacation. The last day, as we were packing up, I wanted to make sure to get the upstairs of our little cabin. There was some interesting decor in there. This was our room. It was very sweet. Something weird was there were no screens on the windows, so you couldn't actually open the windows, but you could see it was very, very cozy, very log cabin-like. The bathroom upstairs was really big and had a nice tub and a nice shower. My sister-in-law also stayed up here with her little dog, and this was her room, and that was the whole cabin. Like I said, it was very small, square footage-wise, but very cozy. We set out pretty early on Thursday, and one of the things that I really wanted to do while we were in Tennessee was eat a pub sub, because I see so many people online eating pub subs, and I thought it would be really fun to eat one. So we did stop at Publix and get one. They did even have a all vegan sub, which I thought was pretty cool. We were planning on staying in Washington, D.C. that night, so we were going to drive almost all the way to Washington, D.C. or all the way to Washington, D.C. and then stop there. On the way, we saw a Books A Million. I never went into a Books A Million before, so I decided to take a look around. Obviously, I didn't buy any new books at Books A Million. It's basically like a Barnes & Noble. I didn't really get why it was so appealing necessarily, but I was happy to see one. Soon after stopping at This Book's a Million, though, is when our trip all went wrong because our brakes failed going 70 on the interstate. Luckily, very, very luckily, we were not injured, we were not hurt, we were not even in an accident. We were able to pull off the road, call AAA. Luckily, there was a Subaru dealer right near where we got stranded. We did have to wait a while for AAA to tow us to the Subaru dealer, but luckily, again, there was a hotel right next to the Subaru dealer. So we transferred the night that we were going to have in DC to Stanton, Virginia, which we were to be stranded in for the next 24 hours. We were stranded in the hotel for several hours while we talked back and forth to the Subaru dealer where our car was towed to find out what the problem was, to talk to our Subaru dealer to work something out so that we could get the repair to our car that we needed to get home. It looked dicey there for a minute with the part that we needed possibly not coming in until December 6th. So we were a little worried we were going to be stranded for over a month in Virginia, but actually they were able to get us a part and we were able to get on the road later that day. We did take a walk around the hotel. It was pretty beautiful, gorgeous weather for the entire trip that we were there, that we were in Virginia or in Tennessee. And we even had time to go into this little city of Stanton, Virginia, and eat an Indian thali, which was really good. And we walked around the little town. It was very, very cute. There was 3 or 4 bookstores, none of which we really got to go in because we were just killing a few hours while our car was getting repaired. But it was a nice little town to explore, a bonus that we were not expecting. The whole sidetrack of getting our car repaired was not what we were expecting, but like I said, it was the best of a possibly very, very bad and very, very dangerous situation. So we were feeling extremely lucky. The last thing we did in Stanton, Virginia before we got the heck out of there was go to No New Books, which was an incredible used bookstore, which I could have spent hours and hours and hours in. We only had an hour because we still had to drive 5 hours to get home that day. Luckily, my friend was able to stay with the cats an extra day, so we knew they were safe. Although we only had an hour in this bookstore, I made the most of it and I got quite a haul of books, which you can see in my Unpack With Me video, which is already out and I will leave listed down below. But this bookstore had so many used books and I got some real gems that I'm super excited to read. I will definitely be back. I don't have hard feelings towards Stanton, Virginia. I have only good feelings, especially because upon leaving it, my last memory is of No New Books. So that was our family vacation to Tennessee. Like I said, I wish I had taken better footage. I really thought I was doing a good job, but when I went back and looked through everything, it was very disjointed. So I hope it came off okay in this vlog. I had such a great time. It was such a wonderful experience. I can't wait to get back on track with our annual family vacations. If you want to see a Unpack With Me, which is me processing losing all the footage that I had from my Pack With Me for this trip, I will leave that video listed down below, and it also goes through some of the things that I brought on this trip, some of the things that I used or didn't use, also some of the haul of No New Books, and some other fun things. The video came before this one, but maybe it'll make more sense after watching this one. So like I said, let me know if you've been to Tennessee. Let me know what you would suggest if we ever go back. Let me know what you think our next family vacation should be, probably in the continental US. And thanks so much for joining me today. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!